So yesterday we graded the Premier League's bottom half clubs, looking at their opening 11 games of the season as we passed the quarter-way mark. Click the link in the top right corner of the screen if you missed that, but now it's the turn of the Premier League's top 10 as we grade all of their performances just like at school. In 10th place is Huddersfield Town, who have defied belief since making their Premier League debut, with David Wagner's side really marking their territory in the top flight with their brave brand of football. The Terriers recorded a historic victory over Manchester United, which has probably been the highlight of their start of their season, which has seen them slightly struggle for goals, probably the only big concern after what has been a great start of the campaign. It's a B for David Wagner's side. In 9th place is Watford, who were one of the Premier League's surprise packages, pushing the top 6 until back-to-back defeats saw them crash back down to earth and into 9th place, but it's still been a solid start for Marco Silva's side, whose new recruits have made the Hornets a really impressive outfit, after a year with Walter Mazzarri that saw them struggle to find an identity. Silva is one of the best young managers around, and Watford are in very safe hands, already en route to their best season in the Premier League, a mile away from the relegation zone. We're giving Watford a B+. In 8th place are Brighton, the third promoted side and the highest in the league, but arguably the least talked about, with all three promoted teams performing admirably in the Premier League. Brighton's victory over Swansea lifted them into the top half with 15 points from 11 games, unbeaten in their last 4. The Seagulls look like a really solid outfit that maybe lacks some cutting edge, very similar to Newcastle, and Chris Hughton will be hoping his side's defensive capabilities will be enough to get them to the elusive 40 points. Just like Huddersfield and Newcastle, the Seagulls get a B for their efforts. In 7th place is Burnley, who have been the biggest surprise of the season, with Sean Dyche's side performing miracles as they sit level on points with both Liverpool and Arsenal. Last season the Clarets struggled away from home, but they're proving to be good travellers this season. That all began with an opening day victory at Stamford Bridge. Burnley aren't the most glamorous of clubs, with a team full of workhorses, but have players capable of playing it about and mixing up their game, rather than being the long ball side they're sometimes labelled as. Sean Dyche is doing an incredible job at Turf Moor, and his side gets an A+ for their sublime start of the season. In 6th place is Arsenal, and Arsene Wenger's side seem to have the same problems that have haunted them in years gone by, struggling in the big games due to their soft core, inability to defend, and lack of desire from certain players. The futures of both Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez remain unresolved, and the pair hardly look motivated to play for Arsenal, while the team doesn't look anywhere near as strong as their rivals competing for a Champions League place. The results have been okay for Arsenal, so maybe this assessment is a bit harsh, but they don't look any better than last year, where they failed to finish in the top 4 for the first time since forever. Let us know your assessment of Arsenal, but we're going to give them a C for their start. In 5th place is Liverpool, and like Arsenal are still having the same issues as last year, with a leaky defence being the difference between the Reds competing for the title and where they are now. Their offensive options are up there with the best in the country, with the arrival of Mohamed Salah slotting into Liverpool's front three perfectly. The failure to bring in a top-class centre-half is still giving Jurgen Klopp problems, who has a very tough job in qualifying for the Champions League yet again. The Reds aren't a million miles away from being title contenders, it's just a shame they have the same problems of last season that have been ignored. We're giving Liverpool a B-. In 4th place is the champions Chelsea, where things apparently aren't quite right under Antonio Conte, with the Blues not starting this season as well as they had hoped, already 9 points behind the leaders. But in fairness to Chelsea, if the game against Manchester City had gone the other way, we could be looking at a very different Premier League table. Alvaro Morata's performances mean Chelsea aren't missing Diego Costa, but injuries and suspensions have cost them already this season, so they're going to need a Man City collapse to get back into the title race. Still a strong side, but not quite the formidable team of last season. It's a B for Antonio Conte and co. In 3rd is Tottenham Hotspur, who have had their strongest start to a Premier League season ever, picking up 23 points, with their struggles initially coming at their new Wembley home, but even that problem seems to have disappeared, with Spurs firing on all fronts home and away. Maurizio Pochettino's side is still one of the most exciting in the Premier League, but defeats against Man United and Chelsea have distanced themselves from top spot, as it looks like another valiant season from Spurs with no real title charge, but that's mainly down to the scintillating form of Pep Guardiola's side. It's an A for Tottenham, who continue to go from strength to strength. Second in the league are Manchester United, with Jose Mourinho sprinkling his special one magic over Old Trafford, despite receiving criticism for parking his big old bus in the big games, which has seen the Red Devils lose ground on City, sitting 8 points shy after 11 games. The injury to Paul Pogba has slightly stunted their season, with Romelu Lukaku's goals also slightly drying up, But much like Spurs and Chelsea, Man United need a Man City slip-up if they're going to get their hands on the Premier League title. Manchester United look like they're almost back to their intimidating selves and will be there or thereabouts come May if they re-find their ruthlessness from the opening few weeks of the season. It's an A for Manchester United. And top of the Premier League is Manchester City, who have been untouchable since the season began, only dropping 2 points, drawing with Everton to go with their 10 wins. There's talk of Guardiola's side going the season unbeaten like Arsenal did in 2004, but while that may be premature, it's hard to see past City for this season's Premier League title. Going forward they look untouchable, with goals coming from all over the place, while Kevin De Bruyne orchestrates things from midfield, currently the best player in the Premier League. Guardiola's team look formidable right now, but the winter months have troubled them in the past, so the next couple of months will be make or break for Man City in the Premier League title. For now though, they're the best team in the country by a mile, and get an A+ for their start of the campaign. So that's the top half of the Premier League graded. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and what grade you would give your team. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.